When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
All right, listeners, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and boy, after episode 192, if you haven't listened to it, you got to go back and listen to Diane. She was amazing at talking about the power of your voice and how important it is that it gives us power. And, you know, her being in litigation and an attorney and a nurse, and the power of her using her voice. We shared so many stories, and I feel like we're just like stepping right into the next subject today, when today we're going to be talking about the power of creating a life that you love. And I love the way Felicia Searcy says it, not a watered down version, not what you kind of think maybe you deserve or want. We're talking like that big, hairy, audacious life that you want to live. There's a formula to it, she says. Felicia says there's a spiritual formula, and we're going to dive into that. So if you feel like I'm not quite in the life that I thought I was going to live, or there's so much more that I want, I don't know how to get it. How do I get that life? You know, how do I get more money or more love or whatever that might be? We're going to get those answers today from Felicia. She's going to tell us so much more about that. But before we do, I do want to thank today's sponsor of today's show, Live and Learn. Live and Learn's mission is to empower women to break the cycle of generational poverty. We envision a world where women thrive, strengthening their families and the community. Live and Learn is a nonprofit organization for women that was founded in 2012 to empower women in the Phoenix metro area. It begins with an initiative of the Arizona Foundation of Women and became an independent organization in 2014. Live and Learn continues to grow every year to meet the financial education needs and career training for women in our community. To find out more, if you wish to donate, visit liveandlearnaz.org. We're so happy that there are sponsors. They're also sponsors of our Empower and Elevate conference, and we have them there as our local nonprofit as well. To find out more about the Empower and Elevate conference, because Felicia will be one of our speakers, please click on the link and you can get a ticket for our November 15th event. And if that one is sold out, you can get a ticket for the March 21st event. So we hope to see you there. All right, let's get into today's show with Felicia Searcy. She is a 4-time award-winning transformational coach, author, and ordained minister of 30 years, whose purpose is her passion to empower you to discover and express your extraordinary life. You may have seen her on TV or caught her on a coast-to-coast radio or at the Empower and Elevate conference. Renowned organizations such as eWomen Network, National Association of Women Business Owners, and Bank of America have counted on Felicia for her wisdom and expertise. As a highly sought-after international speaker, she shared the stage with powerhouses like Les Brown and worked with Bob Proctor. For nearly 3 decades, Felicia's taught thousands the missing spiritual piece that accelerates all success. Felicia, welcome to today's show.
Thank you, Colleen. It's great to be here.
You know, I'm just going to say to my listeners out there that follow the podcast, if you know Felicia, you know Felicia. Like, you just know, the power she brings, the energy she brings, the conviction that she brings from a stage. So Felicia, I am overly excited to have you as a guest here on today's show, because you've helped thousands of individuals realize this. So roll it back for me. Roll it way, way, way back, because we talked a lot about who you are today and how long you've been doing this. But I want to know, like, why did you start doing this? What happened in your life?
Yeah.
There's always that pivotal moment.
Yeah. So I know that it's a long bio, and a little further down, it talks about, the environment I grew up in, that I grew up in a horrifically violent and abusive household. And the reason I share that is because, anytime we experience those kinds of experiences, there's messages that get wired in, right? That, very well intended, my parents doing the absolute best that they could do. They struggled with mental illness and addiction. And regardless, there were messages that got wired into me that, number one, the world was not safe. Number two, do not expect too much. And number three, make sure that everybody around me is taken care of before I am, because my life literally depended on it. And, and so I'm going through. And so by the time I hit my 20s, right, moving in the world with that kind of hypervigilance and that kind of suspicion and unworthiness and fear, just straight up fear, was exhausting. It was just exhausting. And so by the time I hit 22, I was so overwhelmed with life, and I just saw this dark cavern, that this was all there was. And I literally started thinking seriously about, how can I end it? What could it look like for it to just stop, for the pain and the insanity to just stop? And what's really fascinating is that when you are at your absolute rock bottom, lowest, there's an opening, right? That there's something that opens up. And for me, like, there was an opening that made me available to hearing something different. And this was when a friend of mine invited me to a lecture, personal development, never had any exposure to this. And I began to hear things like, my future is not dependent on my past, that I'm worthy just because I am. And the longer I stayed and listened, the more I realized there's a system to this, that it's not just inspirational words, but that there's actually a system. And Colleen, I grabbed hold of that for everything I was worth, and deep study for decades. About 14 years ago, I really wanted to turn the volume up on it even more. And that's when I started working with some of the top human potential teachers on the planet. I saw, I saw that it's a system, and I learned and continue to learn this spiritual success system. And as I did, my life transformed. There's nothing in my history that would suggest, indicate, or even say that I had a right to be where I am today. Everything in my history said that I should have been married to an abusive spouse or drug addicted myself, but by the grace of God, I did not inherit that gene, or just dead, right? Just dead. And so when I look at where I came from and how it was a formula, not luck, not special dispensation, but it was a formula, I got on fire that I wanted to share this with everybody, no matter what you came from. You didn't have to come from the level that I came from. But, even just rolling along, and life is good, but there's more, right? That there is a proven, reliable, repeatable spiritual system that as we learn it and apply it, we can transform anything. So that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You and I have similar backgrounds. I remember my therapist telling me, like, you have every right to be a drug addict and a victim. I was like, I know, but that's not where I took that. I took that pain and turned it into this achievement, this kind of overachiever, this working toward, like, getting a black belt and doing personal training. And like everything I do is about being the best, or, and that's how that's the drive. But I love that you talk about it, because I think that there's a thought in people's heads. And I saw it in the room the day that you spoke, even at the Empower and Elevate conference, that they think it has to be like, it's supposed to be hard. And if it's not hard, I'm not doing it right, right? Like, it's got to be hard. And you're like, it doesn't have to be hard. In fact, it's really supposed to be easy. So talk a little bit about that, because I do think that naturally, especially if you're talking to anyone in our age group, they grew up that way. Like, how many times did we hear money doesn't grow on trees, and all the things that we went through, and eat your dinner because their kids starving in Ethiopia. You're like, what am I supposed to do about children in China and Ethiopia? right now.
Pack it up and ship it to them, right?
But that was kind of I feel like that was the brainwashing. It
Yeah,
actually felt like it was that was what was cemented into our brains. And then you start, telling other people that, like, oh, money doesn't grow on trees because that's what you believe. It's like, but
yeah,
what if it did?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so what I have discovered, so when we talk about this conversation of what if it could be easy, right?
Yeah.
And one of the concepts that I've really come to deeply appreciate and continue to grow my understanding and awareness in my own life is the concept of moving from trying to make something happen to making it welcome.
Mm.
And we do this first and foremost. So this whole system, right? First and foremost, understand that we live and move and have being in a field of energy, right? Everything is energy. And everything is vibrating in this energetic field, including us, at a particular frequency. And that there are other things that are vibrating at that same frequency. And so when we, number one, realize that we actually are emitting out, we're transmitting a signal by a particular frequency, and the frequency is determined by the thoughts you're thinking. And when I say the thoughts we're thinking, what I'm talking about is what you're actually showing in your imagination. Because here's the thing, we think in images. If I say front door, you see a front door. If I say car, you see a car, right? You don't see DOOR or CAR.
No.
You're actually showing movies. You're actually running movies in this amazing faculty of our imagination. And those movies that we show habitually, not the, on and off, little bit of glimpses of something, but the movies that we show habitually then generate a habitual pattern of a feeling tone, which actually defines the way we feel about ourselves. And when you put those two things together, it defines your identity. And the reason why this is important is because we will never outperform the way we see ourselves. And so now that becomes the signal that we're transmitting out to this field of energy, where quantum physics has proven that there are waves of unformed energy hanging out in superposition. And this is the part that I don't understand, but guess what? I don't understand how electricity works in my house, and I can still flip the switch and get light, right? That this energy somehow organizes according to that predominant habit of image and feeling, again, which is your predominant habit of seeing yourself, and this creates your life. And so when we talk about what if it could be easy, it's really coming to understand that this is the way our results are created. And then to back it up and to acknowledge that there is this invisible intelligence that gave us this ability, gave us, number one, these laws, right? Yeah. And then gave us this gift of being able to imagine anything. And then the gift of understanding that what we predominantly imagine, that actually becomes our life. And so when we can really come to understand that there is this force at work in our favor, and that we are created to thrive, we are literally designed to thrive. And it all starts in our imagination, right? And it all starts with, and you've heard me say this, Colleen, the most powerful question that we can ask, which is, what would I love? Yeah. Then we begin to get a sense of how we really are working with this invisible intelligence. And this is the part where we move from us making it happen to learning how to make it welcome and allow things to be easy.
Yeah, I would love to challenge the listeners right now to write that down or use a voice note or something. If you're driving, use a voice note. If you're listening to this and you're at a place, write down, what do you want? And I find that a lot of times when I ask someone that question, well, what do you want? Especially in business, right? When they're hiring me to be their business coach, it's like, well, what do you want for your business? They stop and they think and they look around kind of upwards and they're
Yeah.
searching. They're like trying to search in their brain for what they want. And I think that's the very first thing we have to determine, like, what do we want?
Yeah.
What do we want
And
our lives to look like?
I would just tweak it just a tad because it's a little bit of a higher calibrated question.
Yeah.
We ask the question, what would I love?
What would I
What would
love?
I love?
Let's do that.
Because what we're
Yeah.
doing is that we're now tapping into the expansive energy of
Mm,
love,
yeah.
right? And
What
we're
would I
opening
love?
ourselves up for love to express through us. And then we come to realize that our dream is actually an act of love. It's an act of love to us, and it's our gift of love to
I
the
love
world.
that. So what would you love? Write that down.
Yeah.
And then if it feels like, oh, this is what I would really love, but I
Yeah.
don't know how to get it, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the part where Felicia's talking about. And I love that you said the feeling, with the thought, because that vision with the thought and the feeling combined, I love the different frequencies, and wherever we're vibrating on those frequencies, whether it's low or high, we're attracting people, places, things, and events to
Yep.
us at that frequency. And I, often will say to my husband, who sometimes feels a little anxious about things, or, I'll say, like, what the feelings that you're having of anxiety is a low vibration feeling, but tell me what that's solving. Tell me what it's solving. Tell me how
Yeah.
that's helping anything. And he'll say, well, it's not. And I'm like, is there something we can do about it? Is there an action that can be taken in place? How can you shift that feeling? So I'm sure you work with a lot of individuals, or share from the stage with a lot of individuals. I loved when you started talking about the visual, and
Mhm.
then starting with the what would I love. Most people, I find, once they write that down or identify what that is, they go straight into the mode of, I'm fearful because I don't know the how,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They
This
go
is
straight
so
into the,
great.
I don't
Yeah.
know the how. So, I mean, I'm sure that's the number one, like,
Yeah.
immediate reaction that most people have.
Yeah. And so first of all, let's back up a little bit and
Yeah.
realize that asking that question, what would I love? It's the most courageous question we can ask, right? Because you
I love
really
that.
are starting to entertain possibilities for yourself that who you are today is never done, and who you are today does not know how to do. So let's be really clear. Who you are today will not know how to do the dream that's knocking at the door of your heart, if it's a real dream. One of the things to understand is that actually the purpose of that desire is how this indescribable intelligence grows you into an even more magnificent version of you. That the goal is not actually to achieve the dream. That in Louisiana, we used to call that lagniappe, right? That's the extra. The real gift is your growth, your evolution, your transformation. It's how you discover more of who you are created to be. So you're dreaming into something big. Who you are today doesn't know how to do it. So just know that, right? And this is where most people will water the dream down to match who they are today, rather than see it as an invitation to come into an even more beautiful, magnificent, higher version of you. So the thing that I support my clients with when we get started is to put the how on hold. Put the how on hold and stay focused on the what. And that takes courage, right? Because our intellect, our logical mind, and especially as business owners, it's like, oh my God, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Right now, that's none of my business. The what is my mastery right now, to really let myself be in the energy of what would I love, and allow that question to inform the images and to come up with very clear images of what that looks like. Because here's what happens When you begin to work with that vision and you begin to put on the identity of the person living that higher calibrated life before a single thing in your world gives you permission, it's in that new state, that higher state of thinking, where you now have access to ideas and you have access to opportunities, which, by the way, have always been there. But when we're thinking from this low density of, oh my God, how am I going to do that? You're doing it from the identification. You're still seeing yourself as the same person. And the only thing you can do is come up with the same worn out, stale ideas.
Yeah.
It's when you give yourself permission to really live in that image and come from it. We can't get to our dream. We have to come from it. As the person for whom it all worked out, it puts you in touch with a higher intelligence. It puts you in touch with a higher creativity. And your vision begins to inform the action steps. It begins to reveal and unfold the plan. But you can't receive that if you're down here trying to figure it out before you even know what you want or what you would love.
Yeah, beautifully said. I love the way that you explain that to everybody out there. And if any of you have any questions, please make sure you're emailing me at info@colleenbiggs.net. I want to make sure that we're getting your questions answered. And of course, we're going to talk about Felicia here. You can reach her at FeliciaSearcy.com. We have all of that information for you in the link at FeliciaSearcy.com/spiritual success. So that's all existing here down at the link. All you have to do is click on it. If you're like, I need to talk to Felicia right now. Like I know she's got an event coming up. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So what are the successes that you've had with your clients? Do you do this one-to-one, Felicia? Do you do this in a group? Are you doing this, changes that people can experience from stage? How does it work on, utilizing the universal laws and the feelings and helping them move, empowering them to move into that position?
Yeah, so the way we work with people is very robust, and primarily we work with people in groups. And the reason I do that is because there's something so powerful about, and you know this, Colleen, about coming together in community as partners in believing, and really being in a community where people see you as this amazing being who's doing amazing things. I mean, we have very well-intended people in our lives, right? And when we talk about big, bold dreams, the people in our immediate world, oftentimes, they get scared because they want to support you, right? But it's like, oh my God, how is this going to affect me if you do this? And so I create a community of
so true.
And so we dig deep into spiritual law. Every time we come together, we are working with deepening our understanding of how these laws work. Now, I've been a student of these laws I'm 64. I started when I was 22, right? And so you would think that I have it. And I have it to the level that I have it. And my dream is asking me to now know it more deeply. And so we go in, we, look at what are the laws? How do we apply the laws? We give tools to write a vision, give help with writing a vision. And then there's a call there's a training call. And then every week there's a call where you're able to come in and just purely Q&A, that you give me the honor of having access to your thinking. And we do this in groups so other people can hear how this works as well. Because what's so powerful about this is that everybody can have different details. The details don't matter. The system is always the same. It's mastering the system. So I do some private work, but primarily we work in group, and everybody I work with participates in the group because of the power of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with the power of community and how wonderful that is. And so tell us a little bit about your event that you have coming up in October. I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so real quick, the spiritual success, when you go to FeliciaSearcy.com/spiritual success, you're actually going to be downloading a full-on vision toolkit where I've got vision instructions, a vision meditation, and to be able to write your vision, because this is foundational to everything, and then a daily practice for you to know what to do with that vision. So I just wanted to give a little more explanation behind that. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
my 3-day event, this is where we take a deep dive, a deep immersion into what is it that you would really love. I get a little selfish with the stage because I really want to pour into people. And what I mean by that is that it's not a series of speakers. It's me pouring into you 3 days of really helping you tap into your own internal voice of guidance and your own voice of love. What is it that you would really love? Where are the places that potentially could hang you up, derail you, get you stuck? And I give you tools on how to recognize those things, because they're so subtle, they're so insidious. And then what to do when you notice those parts of you that's wanting to get distracted or delayed, or I walk you through a system to be able to hear what that next step is. We don't ignore the how. It's just not what we lead with. And then I give you a very specific system to be able to know what steps are yours to take. Grow your capacity to allow a greater degree of abundance in your life. I mean, we all have set points. No matter how great it is, we have to learn how to allow an even greater degree of goodness and abundance in our life. And it's in this safe, incubator of transformation, where you have my arms and my team's arms around you, with this amazing community of like-minded individuals. Magic happens. Magic happens.
Yeah. Well, I want to go. So maybe you should tell us the dates. Is it going to be online? Is it in person?
In person here in Tucson.
Yeah.
Colleen, I would love to have you. It's October 10, 11, 12. So it is 3 days. And so it's a spiritual master who will step aside from life coming at you to dedicate 3 days to listening to life, seeking to express through you and by means of you.
Wonderful. Yeah. When we think about our loved ones, I remember the day that I had decided that I was leaving corporate America and retiring. And I said to my family, I think I'm going to, because I had already started my other business and was growing that. And I said, I think I'm going to leave corporate America. And my husband's like, no, you're not. And my daughter's like, what? Are you crazy? And it's exactly what you said. They're trying to figure out what's going to happen to them during the process of you doing that. But it took me a long time to get to that decision, to where I was finally there to know that I could leave and that I would be okay. And it was what my choice was. But you're right. The number one people in your lives that are there, that are supposed to be your biggest fueling supporters, were like, no.
And they want to, right? They want to be able to support them, but they're so close. They're the ones that are going to be have be the most impacted, which is why I create community where people can come in and be loved, and then allow the people in your life to just be where they are and appreciate them for what they can bring.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. So, I'll be sending my husband to Tucson if I'm not able to make it.
Oh, that would be great.
I would love to have him in a room with you. I really think, Felicia, that there's so much you could offer him. And I mean, everybody, honestly, it doesn't really matter what position you're in, how many businesses you own, what position you're in corporate America. This is a lifelong learning tool. To understand the spiritual principles and universal law. It really is. It's not I don't think it's a one and done. I really think it's something that we need to learn. And it really is going to help us in every area of our life, not just one specific area. And I'm sure you've seen that time and time.
Well, when I work with people, we work with your health, your relationships, your vocation, which is primarily why people are listening, and then your freedom on your calendar and your checkbook. So it's a full spectrum wealth.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. And boy, our health is our wealth. So I love that you even had that as number one. That's so important. Well, Felicia, you were a treat today, exactly the way I knew you would be. And you can see Felicia. She's one of our speakers at the November 15th Empower and Elevate conference. So, but I do want to welcome you down to Tucson, Arizona, 10th, 11th, and 12th of October. This is definitely an event that you're going to want to fly in for, drive down for. Felicia, tell me where I can promote this, and I will. Please send me all the information. I would love to get it out. To welcome a lot of the local ladies that are here. Definitely be posting it in the Empower and Elevate conference website page. I mean, the Facebook page. Make sure you get it in there and invite all the ladies down, and then I'll be able to make a comment as well and keep bringing it to the top. I think it's just so important that we champion each other, share information, especially when we know this information can help so many other people in a way that they need in their lives. This really is for everyone. And I think this is really special. And I'm very thankful that you're doing this 3-day event. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it. I'm so looking forward to the Empower and Elevate.
It's going to be great. Grab your tickets because it's going to sell out. Everybody, grab your tickets now because it's going to sell out. And we've already got 22 tables in the room. We can only fit so many people at every table. So make sure you get your tickets now. And there'll be about 200 women in the room this time for sure. So it's going to be a really nice room. And after what I heard today, I know that many of those women will obviously want to attend future workshops and things that you're doing. Of course, they're going to want to do that because I'm going to want to do that too. The way it's interesting because the way I heard you speak about it today just really landed for me in a different way. And I think it might have been because the last time, I mean, you're such a great, powerful speaker. And I sat and listened to you the entire time, but I think I might have been preoccupied with the event and everything going on because it's a big deal and it's a lot that I have to do that day. And what I heard you say today, it was like, wow, it just really, landed on my heart. And I'm just really excited about what you're doing, Felicia. And I want you to know I'm a big supporter of that. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I want to tell all the listeners out there too, Felicia said it. We said it in the last episode too. You're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. What is it that you love? What is that? What does it look like to live that amazing life that you love? And why can't it be yours? Why couldn't you learn how to be able to bring that into your life and grow as an individual? And I think that's really it. How do you have a fulfilled life with those dreams? And that's what Felicia's talking about here. So I'm going to dare everyone to get out there. Definitely download the Spiritual Success guide. So she's got that available at FeliciaSearcy.com. You can click on that and go get that. That is the number one thing that you want to do. And then again, October 10th, 11th, and 12th in Tucson will be her 3-day event. So we'll make sure that we have the links for those as well. So Felicia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen.
Such an honor to have you here today. Wonderful guest. Really loved it.
Thank you. And you are up to such amazing things. I really want to celebrate you for the impact that you're making, and just you have such a generous spirit. It just
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. God bless me with that. So I'm not going to take credit for that. But anyway, all right, listeners, thank you so much for being with us today. And until next time, please never forget to be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.